My dear friends, I am super excited to be here with you today because we are on the verge of starting the new year. And I know, like yourself, you're trying to build yourself up each year a bit better, a bit stronger, a bit healthier. And really, in the end, it's about how to be, as I use this term, kick ass leader each and every day. So for this series, I decided because you want something easy, fun, and something you can implement right now to give you this little, I would say, bite or three bites each moment and every now and then so that you can really use this to your advantage. So in the coming series, I will be coming back at you with this kind of bite-sized implementation so you can go every time a little bit more conscious about your day and to really think, hey, am I going in a direction I want with my life? So if you're here, you probably have done already your audit of where you want to go. You have done your assessment, who you are as human beings, what areas are interesting for you, and how to improve yourself each and every day. And you might be looking for a top up. You might be looking for somebody or thing that will add the zest and the spike and the engine to bring it to the next level. And I know sometimes it's really just scaling back things to go back to the foundations and figure out, hey, I've tried so much already. I actually need to gain perspective. Wherever you are on that scale from starting out already kind of looking to enhance your practices, I want to go back to the foundations. I want to go back to really give you these three principles today and tell you a little bit how I think about stuff, and maybe give you a little also story how I was actually going through these different things, because as you know, I'm coming a lot from the bodybuilding background, from fitness. I used to do triathlon training when I was young, and a lot of races. I did obstacle races. I did, a lot of bike. I did table tennis training or table tennis competition. So I've done different type of sports, football. I grew up as this active kid, grew up on a farm. So I was just talking about it with my family yesterday and with my girlfriend, how learning to work hard around the house, build this discipline and this will and this strong character that I have today as a human being. And obviously, there is always room to improve, but being a learner and being a good human being comes oftentimes with price. You went through some hardship, whether that's mentally or physically. Maybe you were challenged, maybe you weren't always gifted, maybe you were skinny like myself, you were bullied and you need to build yourself up. Perhaps you were always in your family the last one to get attention from your parents, from your siblings. Wherever you are in a spectrum, you are unique. I want to tell you that, and you need to cut yourself some slack, give yourself some grace, and forgive yourself. I know this sounds very silly, a bit over the board in today's society where self-inflated ego leads the way and people just care about themselves and don't care what their neighbors do and don't care what their colleagues do. But I want you to be different. I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to be better each and every day. And I know this is a lot to ask nowadays. You're like, hey Matteo, I have already so much. I have kids, I have my job, I have my demanding boss, I have my wife, I have my partners, I have my business, and it's just all over the place. How do you manage it all? This is why we are here today. Scale it back. Go back to the drawing board. Look at the different areas of your life and where you're going. This is the time to do it. We are still in the initial phase of the year where we need to plan, where you go to your go to market template. You look at where you want to go. You look at these different areas from business, health, relationship, finances, fitness, mindset, and you really look at it with the critical perspective. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Not just in today, which is very important in 1 week, or in 1 month, or 1 year, but who do I want to be in the decade? And I can tell you it will be changing, and this is probably where you're gonna challenge yourself, because you will be like, well, what if I gonna change? Yes, you will change, and it will change. Your perspective will change along the way. I see it with myself. How was I thinking in my 15s, in my 20s, in my 30s, and how I'm perceiving myself. And more older I get, I realize I need to give myself more grace. Things take longer, way longer than we actually think they will take. And it's okay. It's okay because we need to do the work. This is what we realize throughout these years, that it shouldn't be like we lie back and say, well, it takes too long, I'm not gonna do anything. No, on the opposite, you need to be deliberate, you need to be focused. And deliberate means you schedule your habits and you actually do the difficult things even you don't feel like that. So let's go to those three areas today, or three ideas which will elevate your life or the start of the year. Let's look at the first area. The first area, and I put it on the top for a reason, which is sleep more. You know, sleep, in my opinion, and I went, like yourself, probably through different cycles where I used to sleep, 5-6 hours or less, and prouded myself as a kick-ass leader who actually gets more done and has 20-hour work or 80-hour, 100-hour work weeks and sleeps real little. But what I tend to notice in those times, I remember when I was working, also in my earlier career, I really tried to challenge myself a lot, and it was great. But I realized I was sick often, or even because I didn't balance everything else. I was doing sport also 24/7 or wherever I could. Then your meal preparations and all these things that go with it. So you need to balance yourself and pace yourself. And sleep actually gives you a lot of benefits. So from cognitive recovery, so your memory gonna be better. So especially if you're starting out somewhere, if you need to remember things, it really pays to take care of yourself, take care of your sleep. So there is a lot of articles out there from Dr. Bruce to figure out what type of sleeper are you, to really going deeper into that, where Brendan Burchard talks about his 3-hour pre-sleep routine, from stopping working 3 hours before, or 3 hours stopping food, then 2 hours before stopping working, then 1 hour kind of pre-sleep routine, from stretching to meditation and all these different things. But I also want you to be vigilant, because what works for me, what works for you, what works for other people, it's very unique. So you are unique. Adapt it to you. There might be some period in your life where you have kids, or where you're single, or where your work is very stressful and you need to adapt to that. Maybe you took a lot on your plate, you have hobbies like myself, and you maybe don't push on your business so much, but your 9-to-5 job is very important. So I want you to really be vigilant of that and focus on those things first, before you start being angry with yourself that you're not achieving everything. And again, sleep is a very unique thing, and the best is to have a deep sleep. I was reading a post from Arianna Huffington on LinkedIn, where she talks about the fact that in 2023 a lot of people are focusing on those gadgets, which actually, like I have the Suunto watch where I'm measuring my sleep, and what I can see now, that my sleep has improved quite a lot, because I'm trying to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night, because I see the results in my life, which means I don't need so much coffee. I can scale back on that, and I also see that I'm less sick, or even when I feel like I'm getting sick, because I'm so focused on making my body feel well and listening to my body. I know I need to scale back, or give myself more time to sleep. So again, evaluate where you are on the scale of sleep. Are you sleeping 5 to 6, 7, 8 hours? And also there is a lot of science behind, like, high performance athletes, like Michael Phelps, a lot of NBA players, who NBA and also cognitive laborers like ourselves who actually have way better performance throughout sleeping a little longer. So I know being 10 hours in bed, maybe it's not always possible, but perhaps you can do it on the weekend. The best is if you go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. That's what I see very suitable and very from the science, what I have seen all over the place has been kind of the standard. You can also, if you're really like myself, geek in this area, you can explore Dr. Andrew Haberman, who will really explore sleep and other side of health really deeply from the science perspective, and really the physiology, how we are paired, and how we need to look in the light or kind of sun the first thing in the morning, and how our eyes are actually part of the brain, and then throughout the evolution they were pushed out to actually make sure that the brain knows what's happening, and managing our sleep cycles, etc., etc. So it's a big topic. The overall goal is to be healthier, more productive, and make sure you live long. So sleep is really the way for you to be a kick-ass leader. If you are not sleeping enough, you will be cranky. You will feel like life is actually being sipped or sucked away from you, and you don't want that. You want that you feel energetic, and you want to perform at your best. And to perform at your best, you need to be juiced up. And this is the primary function in the body, which needs to happen every now and then, or every now and then, every night. When you fall asleep, the body goes into this cleansing mode, cleanses your brain, removes the debris, and prepares you again for the new day, all the hormones, etc., etc. The second point I want you to really take away from today's session as a leader is to stress less and laugh more. I put this for myself because, like yourself and like everybody, like high performance leaders, you are probably stressing yourself a lot, and you try to be on the edge, which means you try to manage more than the average Joe. That means you load your plate a little bigger. You try to bite little bigger bites, and you try to accomplish a little more than, again, the average Joe. Doesn't mean it makes you better. It just means that you want to make a difference. You want to be a good human being. That means maybe you help more people. Perhaps you hey, wake up a bit earlier to clean the flat, or take out the trash, prepare the workstation for your partner, or take the kids to the kindergarten. Whatever it is, it's your way to shine. It's not your neighbor's way, it's not your partner's way, it's your way. For that you need energy. And energy, from my opinion and from my experience and from what I have read in science, you need to generate it. The body is amazing at creating energy. There are little powerhouses in the body, which are called mitochondria. And if you give your body what it needs, one thing that can really help you from physiological perspective is celery juice, which is, in my opinion, the best electrolyte supplement or really healthy, suitable food to give you the power that you need and the energy for the day. But overall, it's really about managing your mental game and mindset, which I talk about a lot, which means, having this leader's perspective, which says, hey, when things happen, when I'm on a stage, when I'm presenting in front of the team, this is the endorphins are rushing in, this is the adrenaline rushing in, and it doesn't mean you are in danger. It means your body is preparing the physiology to perform. But we need to make this difference and this differentiation between the body wants to run away, and which is very easy to jump on that, which means the body might feel, or the feeling might be very physical. The breath gets shallow, the chest contracts, the belly feels like there is a big stone or butterflies, whatever you call it. So we really need to pay attention to the physiological sensations, if you will, and control that and train that. So this is what I want you to focus on in 2023, to really focus on training yourself to manage the sensations and know when it tips off into stress. So for me, for example, stress is when I'm balancing 5, 10 projects and I just don't know where to start, or I just bumble into one and then into another, and I know I'm not doing good enough job to completing the project. In that moment, I try to gain a perspective, this bird's eye perspective, scale it back and say, okay, take a breath. Dr. Andrew Haberman talks about the physiological impact of deep breath. And this is, the society we live in is really, we are shallow breathers. We don't breathe really deeply. So going back into your breath and breathing deeply will trigger your brain to think like, wow, hey, I'm not in a danger anymore. I'm in control. That means there is nothing happening. So we need to learn this physiology, to understand the physiological sensations and master them. And this is how, I would say, sometimes even tricking your body into thinking, hey, I'm not in danger. And this is why I also mention laughing, smiling, being positive will give the body the trigger, hey, there is nothing to fear, there's nothing to worry. To take it a step further, that's when, joining the right team, joining the right company, having the right boss, and even if you're a boss yourself, having the right support system and network, and this closeness, proximity of relationships, when you can fall back on people, that you don't have to do everything yourself, but you can delegate. This is a powerful trigger for you to kind of scale it back and say, hey, I'm in control. I can control the variables, and I can really make a difference here. This is where, also laughing and having fun and not taking yourself so seriously, often as I'm very good at in, achieving my goals, building company, building my personal brand, focusing on, my job, making sure I'm the greatest partner ever, that I have the best body. We are humans. We are human beings, and we are not perfect. And it's not about perfection. It's about having fun. It's about progress. It's about looking at the end of the year and say, wow, in January, I doubled, I bumbled. In the end, I'm sort of on the way. I'm a hot mess. I'm product of improvement. I work on myself, but I'm not afraid. I know that there are moments when I struggle, when I bumble, when I just bump my head against the wall, but I know that I'm making myself and other people around me better. And this is where, realizing that you're unique and that you can enjoy the process, even when you're not 24/7 productive. And again, if we go back to the science, which I like a lot, productivity is a product of sprints and working in chunks of and windows where you're ultra focused and followed by a period where you relax, where you let go, and when you don't have to actually really work on something. Maybe you even just roam around and give your mind and brain the break to disconnect, and then you go back and you're ultra focused. So also this hustle and grind culture, I'm a big advocate of really working hard, smart, and long hours, but I know that it changes throughout your life, and you should find your way. To keep this really solid and strong, let's finish with the third principle, which is leaving toxic cultures and toxic friends. I know this is a controversial topic for many of us, and I don't want to dictate how you should think and that you should leave, people that know you, because a lot of times what happens, we have jobs which pay our bills, we have family members who we don't always agree with and who maybe burden us, and we just cannot say goodbye and I'm gonna talk to you. Of course, we can always do it. It's your choice how you design your life. But what I can really tell you from my experience and how I am building and have built my life so far is really focus on the growth friends, those people that actually, whether that's at work, being in the right culture, work culture, my proximity friends, people that I enjoy around my life, maybe some of the coaches I met throughout their life, connections I have built through networking, even my direct family, my partner, where I enjoy the fact that we are having a long-term vision, and then I know that these people make me better and I make them better along the way. It means mentors, it means people who actually add value and I add value to. And it's also people who actually, in a nutshell, don't complain much, but they have fun and they challenge themselves to be better. They are positive, optimistic, and they really have fun in life. And it's a particular feeling you get around people. I often describe it as when you talk to somebody, you get to know them really quickly through a couple sentences. And to have this feeling, you will need to meet quite a lot of people, because I am a networker. I spend a lot of time in sales and marketing. I developed this, I would say, need and urgency to meet a lot of people, because I needed to, convince people to sell something, or sell something to them. But also along the way, I realized it's actually fun when you have a lot of people in your life. And I mean, you don't need like hundreds and hundreds of friends, but you can have a rich network of people who maybe you met once, or maybe you rode with them once somewhere on social media, but perhaps people who like 20, 30, 50 people you interact with quite often, and who actually elevate you. And this makes the life really easy. The one thing I want to zoom on here is drama and toxicity. What I have noticed in my life, I haven't made this mistake to tolerate too much drama in my life. It happened occasionally because I had a couple longer term relationships, or courtships, if you will. And every now and then it happened that I had a bit of drama, but I was really good at mitigating that and channeling that into positivity and optimism. And it helped me to build myself up and build this, I would say, wisdom and character of somebody who gets stuff done. Because when you have less stress in your life, less drama, less, burden of differences, you really can focus on what matters in life, which is progress, growth. And it gives you this power and these wings to fly higher, see different things, and have clarity. Because when you live in constant stress, first, it's not good for your health because you're shortening your lifespan. Second, it also poisons your clarity. And third, it actually sips away your energy. So it's kind of this trio which will take away the fun you can have in life. With that in mind, I want you to now, especially because we are at the beginning of the year, to really think, hey, are you actually working for a company that you like? Are you working for a boss that you like? Are you working with colleagues that you like? And even outside that, you have partner you adore, friends you admire, family who makes you better and makes you smile. I know, again, going to the notion that you don't always cannot exchange human beings for some other human beings. I want you to be very vigilant of this and start being more alert of this area. You can change your job. You can switch to a different boss and be a better human being through that process. I have done that. I've been through that process. Again, this is a very sensitive topic for many people, and I can tell you it's probably one of the hardest one next to the private relationships we have, family drama, perhaps finances and other setbacks in our building business and all these different things. But if you really struggle with this, please reach out. I'm more than happy to talk about this topic with you. I'm not a counselor. I consider myself, through some of the certifications as I have as a mentor, and perhaps through the different interests and different countries I lived in and different jobs I had, different teams I have built in my life, quite mature in the way I think. But I know this is a very tough area, especially if you are, especially now, in an unhappy place, perhaps still in a company, and it causes some hurt, some drama, and some pain in your private life, I'm sure you can figure it out. You can go through it. You can be better human being along the way and on the other side of it. But don't go through it alone. Reach out, to me, to other professionals, and make decision to find something better for yourself. The same goes around partner. I know you cannot sometimes cut the cord really quick, but sometimes that's what you need. Because a lot of these things can be, and this is why I want to kind of finish with this notion, a blessing in disguise. A lot of things where I see in my career, I made a couple moves here and there. Sometimes when it felt really right, I stayed longer. Sometimes when it didn't feel right, I decided to make a move. But often that notion of being positive and optimistic helped me to come stronger on the other side. And when you always take this reflective mode, and this is what I learned throughout my life, quite early, maybe from around 10 years old, I started reflecting on things and writing in journal and really thinking what going through my mind. So now I'm thinking, it's 20 plus solid years of reflection. It helped me to soften the pain and lighten up the load. And it doesn't cost much. It's a cheap therapy, as I call it, and you can really quickly understand, not immediately always, but down the road, what have you learned, what were the lessons, and how can you be a better human being on the other side. So I want to encourage you, a little longer session, but I think very useful, to give you examples and provide you with courage and energy for the rest of 2023. I know this is a big year for many of us. We are, and some of you might be living in, Ukraine, which is taxed with war. I have a loved one who comes from there and the family, so I know how hard it can be. But maybe you're in a prosperous country and you're afraid of recession, you're afraid of the increasing prices. Don't despair. In the struggle, there is always a light on the other side. And for those like you, because you listen to this, you're a brave one, brave human being, you can become stronger on the other side. And throughout the process, use it as a resilience exercise, because you're resilient. You can become stronger and more resilient when you embrace these lessons. I really believe in you. I encourage you to believe in yourself. As I said a couple times throughout this recording, catch yourself some slack, be positive, give yourself some grace, and have fun, because this is something that we can always, dream about: a bigger car, bigger house, bigger paycheck, better partner. But sometimes it's just living in the moment, like you see here, the flowers, just enjoying yourself. Just go out, enjoy the snow, enjoy the sun, enjoy the sea. Just returned from Mexico and I was blown away with the food. Some things I liked more, some things I liked less, but overall I realized, it's a blessing that we, in this age and time, we can travel, we can see different things, meet different cultures, and become better human being along the way, which is the legacy we should all be thriving for, not the bigger mansions, bigger castles, which is the nice to have, but the overall goal for all our lives is how can we elevate ourselves, our neighborhoods, our societies, and how can we become better human beings along the way. So guys, as I always say, radiate health. Make sure you manage your energy and your wellness, because that's just something I learned throughout my life. It's not just fitness. It's all these different areas that actually contribute for you to be better human being. Fitness and, challenging yourself with workouts will make you better. And when you do that and you start realizing that you can elevate yourself higher, you have more energy, eventually you will grow into elevating others, and you will go, as I call it, to lead a heroic life. Do these little feats every day, little acts of kindness, like letting somebody else in a queue, in a line, in a supermarket in front of you, or opening the door or holding the door, and showing the world that it's not lost yet, that we can make it better with our kindness, our generosity, and just our hope that things can improve along the way. So stay awesome, stay positive, and until the next time, I'm looking forward to talk to you soon enough.